Okay. I have stream on. I have audio working. Okay. Didn't think I was going to stream live, but it kind of happened, so that's okay. All right. That's a sign, and I believe in a sign that if I'm just going to do something, I should do it. Okay, so I'm probably going to have the time during the week to cover the CX Reports special edition on remote work. So what better time than now? So let us try that. Okay, I have WireCast. I accidentally hit sort of like broadcast, and my house is super noisy. Like most people's houses are noisy, so apologize if you hear some background noise. I was just checking if I could use WireCast like I used to, and I was like, oh, and I had broadcast by accident. Oh well, new era, it's okay. But it's a sign that I should actually do what I said I was going to do. Let me go over the CX Reports special piece around remote work. I I can't like sort of show the window, keynote window, and play at the same time. So I'm gonna like go over the diagrams. I'm gonna zoom in, zoom out. So pardon my raw keynote display. So here we go. Go there, turn that off, and okay. Okay, so let me show you where I'm at. And again, this is the accidental CX report as YouTube live. Okay, so first of all, this is the pre-appendix, appendix only, pre-release, excuse me, appendix only. It's not ready yet. This is just the piece on distributed work, remote work. And the whole report's like much longer. Like I'm not sure which version I have. You can see me. I have like a bunch of slides, maybe 100 slides that I have to sort of cull down. But now we're in a whole new era, so I'm going to have to like refactor it for this new COVID-19 world. So I'll probably be maybe late May, if not earlier. We'll see. So first of all, folks will be helping me on that report, and this report is based around the idea of experience. I had a report called the Design and Tech Report, and the focus this year is not design and tech, it's more about experience. We're talking about like customer experience, citizen experience, constituent experience, employee experience, experience. And what is it? It is the umbrella term for the combination of business, technology, and design. And if anything, when I surveyed a bunch of folks online who asked who should be in charge of customer experience, design comes out to be the majority because the majority of the people who took the survey were designers. But that said, it wasn't one to one. So I think a lot of designers see the fact that really nobody owns it, and therefore everyone has to own it together. One of my favorite comebacks, this is like design, was 62%, but 70% were designers. That means that like, some designers will believe that's the most important thing, but definitely product marketing, research. Someone here said that uh, who should be in charge of it? Me. That was pretty cool. I like this one. I'm good with everyone but HR and finance. But this is what you hear so often in the write-in comments. If a company is customer centric, then almost all capabilities count, which I believe in. The team effort. Okay. The theme of the CX report is going to be infinity. Infinity because it ties to computation, or what we call how to speak machine, which really kind of speaks to computation being this alien material that can do things that are abnormal, like loop forever. And in essence, when we say customer experience today, why is it so confusing? It's because it's being powered by the internet, or powered by the cloud, or powered by computation. And that makes it unusual. And it's unusual. It's running with infinite energy, infinite speed. Therefore, CX stands to me, computational experience. Computational experience. Experience is powered by computation. And I like this thing that Wendy said the other day. Distributed reality is here. Distributed reality is the reality we're living in today. Everyone is working remotely now, understandably so because of the pandemic. And the thing to keep taking note is you hear the word remote work everywhere. Remote work is not the same as distributed work. This is something that Matt Mullenweg at Automatic, my former boss, would always say. And I was like, what is he saying? And it's super wise. So remote work is when you work like away from home. It's telecommuting. It's like I can't get to work, so I'm going to work remotely. Distributed work is different. It's about working in a distributed fashion, which is actually very different than remote work. They're related, but they're not the same. Okay, so the idea of place is super important when we're working distributedly. So there's a scenario here where space and time are aligned. That means you're working in the same place. There's a scenario where in the same time zone. That's great. Sometimes your time zone shifted, like a lot of my colleagues who work in Asia, when they want to talk with me, we have to like be in a different time. We have to be in two time zones talking. One's in an awkward time zone, one's in a better time zone. So that trade-off is so important when you're in this mode. And then there's where neither space nor time are aligned. This is the async space. The async space is where the gurus hang out. This is super hard to do. It took a while for me to understand this, but async is best because sync will kill you in remote work. Some of you may have noticed you can't concentrate enough because there's so many, everyone wants to communicate electronically. Doesn't work. So async is a conclusion you get to as a distributed work veteran. Okay, so when you think about distributed work, you have to have, if this were like Maslow's hierarchy of distributed work, you have to first define what is place, then you have to figure out how to just start cooperating, and then how do you collaborate? Because cooperation is kind of easy, collaboration is much harder, and most importantly, how do you get to camaraderie? Teamwork, hashtag teamwork is pretty hard. This is something we did at Automatic. It was a holiday party and it was all remote. It was pretty fun. So, but just to give you a sense that the constraints you have right now will force you to invent, which is a good thing. This diagram works great when it's animated, so I kind of lament. Maybe I'll like make a way to animate this in line. Well, anyways, the point here is that people can be drawn in different ways. Dan Rome talks about how you can draw people three ways. You can draw them as stick people, blob people, and stick people, blob people, and body people, block people. They're doing things. This is a person running, fishing. This is a stick figure smiling. What's the opposite of smile? A frown. And these are blob people. This is a click A and click B. And when you think about it, these three contexts for place, this sort of like stick figure one, my brain, this block person, my body, and the tribe, like my people, they all kind of follow like different combinations. You can do a little mind and body and tribe, and so I listed out the different variations. You can either be reading a book, you can be hiking, going to a museum, being in a meeting, it can be step dancing, it can be church, or you can go to Disneyland, and technology can facilitate these, but in real life we have different versions of this, kind of like a smoothie for experience, right? We blend these together. And remote work is kind of a crisis today. So this is a video by HBS, posted a video on like crisis, remote work. And those who've been remote working are kind of pleasantly surprised. This is the CBO at LinkedIn. I was talking about how it's great that, your children can watch a meeting and actually, give you tips. Not a bad thing. So there's pros and cons of remote work that we're all discovering right now. And if anything, because we're living more in our head, we're living more in our head because we're like using screens. If you are a information worker, and in your head you have emotions, right? And this is Paul Ekman's 6 universal emotions. I kind of love that there's an emoji for all the sort of canonical emotions: fear, surprise, sadness, enjoyment, disgust, anger. I want to note that like 1 out of 6 of the universal emotions is the enjoyment thing. So super important, right? So those of you who are feeling the stress of remote work, just remember that, you know, it's okay. It's okay to feel that stress, but this crisis will be over eventually. So make sure you hold on to enjoyment. If you have vacation planned, please vacate. Super important. Okay. And when you think about change, I love this model, Kubler-Ross. It's like a grief management model. Maria Giudice talks about this a lot. But if you think about it, something happens and you're like, oh, is that good? No, I don't think it's good. Is that kind of good? Maybe. No, I don't like it. And, when you're down here, you're like, either you stay down there, or you kind of find your way up and you kind of like normalize somewhere, or you're like a super yes, we can person. Like, wow, it happened. Oh, great. Let's give it a try. I tend to be this kind of person, which I think people find a bit annoying, but it's something that I feel is important in an organization to have that yes, we can. This is something I wrote in How to Speak Machine. Again, it's a book about computation, but it's also a book about how products change because of computation and how society is changing too. Cooperation is about working with another party at arm's length, whereas collaboration is about having arms hugged around each other. You really can't like hug with an emoji. You can try with parenthesis, but not as good. And when you think about distributed cooperation versus distributed collaboration, this is something that Wendy brought up to me, and I think it's a really great point, which is you can either take turns with a file or you can collaborate with my house. If you hear some noise in the background, this is happening, but everything is okay. Collaborative live editing. You can either archive information or online whiteboard ideas. You can track changes in files. You can version control them. You can correspondence exchange, or you can interactively annotate. You can listen to the boss, or you can listen to each other. Um, any sense, cooperation isn't as good as collaboration. Collaboration is hard. And why is it hard? So this is a model by Professor Jesse Shore at Harvard, and when I first looked at it, it didn't make much sense. And after you look at something for a while, it starts to kind of make sense. So just let this sit with you for a while. There's two axes here: gather information, synthesize solution. Well, not axes. It's like a vector here, and then dense network, sparse network. So what does that mean? It means that when you're gathering information with a lot of people, that's good. You can explore a lot of ideas, right? But then if you try to synthesize it with a lot of people, a dense network kind of gets like, oh, I like your idea, I like your idea, I like your idea. So you get groupthink. On the other hand, if you gather information with a sparse network, not a lot of people, and they're not like all in the same place too. Everyone's thinking of the same thing basically. Um, but what's better is if you think with a dense network to gather information and you synthesize in a smaller group. And I think this is what happens. This basically diverge and converge. I think most people don't like this. They see a cabal run off and like think of ideas, but think of it more as it's about having a bunch of people working in small groups and trying to come up with different ideas because the smaller groups can synthesize better. And the more they synthesize from exploration, large group exploration, you'll have different new clumps of ideas. I love it when there are small teams will split off and not know what the others are doing after they have done this phase here. But if they do it like on their own, they're going to just duplicate ideas and won't go anywhere. So having dense gathering and then sparse synthesizing, I was gonna say it's delicious. Well, it's kind of like cooking. Cooking, it's like cooking teams, cooking people working together. Okay, so this is something I drew after I looked at the model. On the one hand, you can collaborate, excuse me, on the one hand, you can collaborate to synthesize, and then you can cooperate to gather information. And then somewhere between this density and this sparsity, is that a word? Between these two, there's this uncanny valley where you aren't cooperating or collaborating. Do you know what I'm talking about? You've got an idea, you put it in a Slack channel, people are like emojiing it, or maybe you post about it, someone comments on it and says they like it. And this uncanny valley where it's not cooperation or collaboration. Got to be careful. Be careful of the uncanny valley of engaging others in a group. Easy to happen in a Slack group, MS Teams group. So just be careful. This slide is about how, having these groups is a great thing because you can focus, but when you have like walls around teams, silos, or whatever you want to call them, unless you can like shoot something across to kind of like build collaboration, it's not healthy. And the neat thing about telepresence is you can like send your head into someone else's world pretty easy too. So you always peer into other worlds when you can, and it's super easy when you're distributed. So that's a big win in this new remote work era. And I think I mentioned before, it's sort of hard to concentrate when you're working all remotely because everyone is trying to get your attention. It's like thousands of companies, of individuals are now, they all have their own social media channel and they just discovered it for the first time. So I like to bin things as isolation tools, things that help you wean yourself off of wanting to be in there. This is anti-FOMO tools. Then there's time structuring tools to give yourself some structure because without like the normal get a commute, go to work, that rhythm, you need structure. So there's structure tools out there. And lastly, there's mindfulness tools to kind of train your brain to work in this different way. And anyways, I started this list. I'm going to try to finish that. But luckily, I made a mistake and did a live cast by accident. So hey, timing in the cosmos works this way. This is there's a survey out there called State of Remote Work Report 2019. It's by Owly. They make this owl-like hardware device that lets you teleconference with people in the same room, which isn't as useful now in this remote work era, but they made this great um, report pointing out how people are sent into remote work, but they don't have any training. That's workers and managers. And Wendy Johansson, I work with her at Publicis Sapient. She is a pro at this. I love watching her in action. She points out how really it's about that distributed culture and getting these three things to overlap: being able to collaborate, being able to have purpose, being able to execute. And it's this place here, this boundary here. She calls no outcomes. This boundary here, no momentum, and this boundary here, no serendipity. So, anyways, that's Wendy's world, and it's a good world. Check out her Twitter feed at UXWendy. And at Publicis Sapient, we've been moving to remote work since I arrived, actually. More, not actually remote, distributed work. And now we're in remote work, so we had good practice. And Eiko Kawano in our Toronto office released this beautiful piece of work called the Communication Code of Conduct. It's available on GitHub, and it is useful when you have a large community of people working together online for the first time because simple ideas like we think before we type, we welcome diversity, we are harassment free, repeat, repeat, repeat is so important. Otherwise, the collaboration dissolves. And also, meeting norms are really easy to get wrong when you're working all remote. So, Wendy has a terrific blog post, Meeting with Efficiency When Distributed, out there with fantastic tips. Well, we're almost done here. Okay, so just remember that when you're remote, time is a place. It's like an actual place. You can't see it, but it's like real estate. It's finite. If it's cared for well, you can use it well. If you use it poorly, um, it's not space well used. So when you're using time, you can either go high def, real time video, or high def. You can do cached video too, like send people a video. I call this Nouveau video. And you can also have annoying robots come after people to synchronize people as well. Low def, so this isn't quite right. Low def to high def, but you can either do real-time video, real-time chat, do this async robot check-in. You can have discussion satellites, they're like blogs or internal intranet postable places where you can like share a link. And Nivo video. This is kind of growing. Loom is example. Um, I think it's pretty cool. There's another one in the education technology space. There's something called Explain Everything. It's pretty good too. I have to add that to the list. One moment. Explain Everything. It's very good. Sorry, I forget everything. Okay, so okay, and just to remember, there are people who've been working remote distributed for a long time. They believe this is the only way to work. That's cool. There are people who are coming to it for the first time and think it's not good. That's cool. We're just going to learn a lot together, and I find that the most exciting thing. This is Dan Harrelson. I remember him when he was at GE, and he's an amazing leader. Hey Dan, if you can hear this. And remote brings in a ton of value, both for the employee and the firm, but collaborating in person is also really, really important, especially in creative work. So people will debate that, right? And a friend of mine at a remote company said to me, I think it works great for a group of executors, but it works less well when people who need to do something strategic or coordinate across a sizable group or tackling anything ambiguous. Believe that. Um, but some people it works fine. But when managed well, uh, remote work works great for work-life balance for folks who are denied that kind of work-life balance. You can source talent from anywhere in the world, and you can achieve quality. You just have to figure out what the quality metric is and execute around that, and the tools are only going to improve. So, I'm still very bullish on VR, AR, XR. I've been bullish for maybe 30, 40 years, but maybe too long. But anyways, I'm, if you see the new tools for like communicating in 3D, I don't know. I think this global pandemic may give birth to incredible VR, AR tools for collaborating, not just communicating. So I'm waiting. And if you are wondering about the future of working together on a computer, just look to the past. This is Professor Hiroshi Ishii. He's at MIT. He was my colleague at MIT. What an amazing professor, thinker. Wow, he taught me so much. Professor Ishii led this movement to imagine a world where you could like communicate to someone in real time and draw. I mean, can you imagine that? Like, and people thought he was ridiculous. And in Japan, of all places, an NTT actually built this system. And years later, if you just look at Ishii's work, you just know that if you wait, things do happen. So I think that we're in a time where we don't have to wait, and stuff's happening right now. Um, Good stuff, bad stuff. But anyways, huh, I'm too busy to do this today. So thank you for the people who noticed that I did this by accident, and I will now go back to my other stuff, and maybe I will get this stuff out there tonight. Maybe late tonight. I'll get some more stuff out there on Sex Report. Get the slides out too. Thanks for watching. Okay, I did it. All right. Okay, I did something today. Mm. Wow, all kind of interesting noise in my house. I am going to tune out. How do I do that? Okay, bye. I'm going to turn this off. WireCast. I'm not using YouTube Live. I can do this stuff, but WireCast is very sophisticated. Here we go.